the Davos crowd explicitly talked about a great reset where they wanted to have stakeholder capitalism rather than shareholder capitalism. They want to have environmental, social, and governance standards, the so-called ESG standards, where profit maximization and free markets are no longer a major part of how the economy should function. Now, in part, I think that some people are drawn to stakeholder capitalism rather than shareholder capitalism because they misread what Milton Friedman said. Milton Friedman has a very famous quote about the social responsibility of a corporation is to make profits for shareholders. And a lot of people think, oh, he just wants companies to be greedy and maybe sell us tainted food or to pollute the environment. Well, they ignore the rest of Friedman's quote that of course that goal to maximize shareholder value and to maximize profits has to be consistent with ethical behavior and norms. So Milton Friedman in no way was implying that corporations should act unethically. He was simply saying that in a free market economy, trying to be more efficient, generate more profits is what's consistent not only with the best interest of shareholders, but in the best interest of the entire economy. So when I see these various interest groups around the world pushing for so-called stakeholder capitalism, in part, I think it's empty posturing. We had an issue in the United States where a trade association of big companies called the Business Roundtable, the CEO signed this letter talking about the wonders of stakeholder capitalism. Well, economists who have since looked at what the behavior of those companies was found no change. As a matter of fact, found that these companies were more likely to conduct layoffs and things like that. So it wasn't as if this was anything other than, I guess you would call it virtue signaling. And so hopefully this issue doesn't actually lead to genuine cronyism, because that's my concern. If you actually follow through, some of the people who advocate for stakeholder capitalism, they do want government to put a thumb on the scale. They do want government to intervene and have more power. They have this sort of vision of big business and big government sitting down together, I guess with big labor probably as well, to sort of plan an economy. And fundamentally, this is, and I'll close on this point. Fundamentally, I think this is a reaction by the established powers against creative destruction. Because what was it Joseph Schumpeter said, that a fundamental characteristic of a free market economy is that you periodically have new inventions, new technologies, new innovations that disrupt the existing power structure. Well, if you're the CEO of a big Fortune 500 company, you are part of that power structure. And you probably don't like the idea of some new upstart competitor, some new innovator who suddenly reduces the value of your company and potentially the value of your stock holdings and the value of your CEO compensation and things like that. So if you're big and powerful already, you don't want dynamic capitalism. You want status quo capitalism, which I think is a good description of a so-called stakeholder capitalism.